Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, a place where you can come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 90, The Price of Being Inauthentic. So as you know, this month we're going to talk all about courage. We're going to talk about how in order to get things actually moving in our life, we have to start taking some action, which means taking risks and being who we are. So this week I want to talk about some of the actual prices that we pay when we're not authentic, when we're not genuine, when we're afraid to be genuine, rather. Before we get started, I just want to stop and take a moment and acknowledge the courage in my own coaching clients, because you guys are really rocking it. You're really grabbing the courage to do some very hard things right now, but you know without doing them that you can't get to the other side, which is where you really want to be. And I know you want to be proud of yourself. So keep going, keep doing this. You can do this, and you're not alone. All right, so you hear me say all the time how courage is all about choice, about choosing what is most important to us, regardless of what other people have to say about that. And last week we talked about the things that take courage. Well, this week I want to talk about the biggest thing, perhaps. It's called being authentic, being genuine, just being yourself. Most of you know all about the list I'm getting ready to go over. I know that. What I want you to do is listen, and listen with your heart, and get honest. What does inauthenticity mean? It means, I think at the bottom of it, that we don't know who we are. We've become so disconnected from what we really think and why we think those things, about what we believe, what we believe about life, about people, about love, about ourselves, about what matters. Spiritually, what do we believe? It means becoming so disconnected from what you really feel. It means smiling and cracking jokes when you're secretly seething and angry and hurt. It means cracking a joke when you're scared and afraid to admit that to those around you. It's about disowning your anger because you're afraid of what might happen, or you don't want to identify with those in your past, or maybe even your present, that have used anger in an unhealthy way, maybe by raging or hitting or shaming or acting out, embarrassing you. Maybe not wanting to grieve. I think the only way to true authenticity is to work on allowing ourselves to grieve, and we've talked a lot about that on this show. Inauthenticity means disowning, becoming so disconnected from what your physical, your emotional, your psychological, and your spiritual needs are too. It's about not even realizing you have a headache when you have a headache, or that you're tired, or that you're scared, or you feel alone, or that you feel like you're being manipulated and being used. Because you disconnect from your intuition and your gut and your real self. You no longer pay attention to what your body's trying to tell you, that you're not comfortable and this is not okay. And or it may not be a bad thing. It's just not what you really want, and maybe it doesn't feel right for you. Maybe you've become a fabulous chameleon, and you've become what everyone else needs you to be nice, to be compliant, to be so interested in what they have going on and what they need from you, instead of having a healthy balance between what you need and they need. Here's the thing, you can't hold on to yourself and do this. It's not possible. Putting parts of you on a shelf might have been easy in the beginning because they wouldn't have been tolerated in the relationship anyway. This happens more often in romantic relationships. where we're so afraid of abandonment, or they might pick someone better, or we won't find someone better, and all that stuff. So we slowly but surely put parts of ourselves on a shelf. Maybe it's our worldviews, our heart's desires, our opinions, especially if they're dissenting opinions. Vulnerable passions, your dreams, maybe some of your talents, things that you're good at, but they felt insecure around your talent, so you tone it down or you dumb it down. So I want you to think for a moment. Is your shelf empty? Or does it have a few things up there gathering dust? And how do you feel about that? And what's the fear if you take them down and dust them off and put them back into your life? Who is going to have a problem with that? Or who are you afraid will have a problem with that and you don't even know that to be true? That's a thing. Our assumptions are amazing. How do we know? And even if we do know, so what? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And can we tolerate that? I came across an article from The Guardian on inauthenticity, and I wanted to read to you a few thoughts from that article. They said, yet think of the people you most and least admire, and the chances are you will find that it is authenticity that differentiates those you respect from those you don't. Generally speaking, we admire those who possess self-knowledge, the ability to be honest and transparent, and who stand their ground for what they believe in. And we don't admire those we see fake or phony. End quote. It sounds harsh, I know, but it's so important to look at. That's what we're talking about today. Being fake, being phony, being half of what you are, versus just being who you are, regardless of what other people might think or feel about that. Regardless of what you might be afraid of them feeling or thinking about that. Because half the time we don't even ask. We just assume. Where do those assumptions come from? We know they come from childhood. We've talked about this many times. Just the subtle, insidious ways that you can clearly get the message that whatever you think and feel and need is not okay. Maybe what your talents are don't line up with what your parents wanted you to do with your life. So you learned that in order to get acceptance and approval and therefore love, you had to contort who you are in the moment, even to the point of disowning who you are, letting go of dreams, pushing them down, locking them away, convincing yourself that you're fine. You're fine. You don't need any of that. You're okay. You can go get that different degree. You can do the kind of work your parents want you to do so that you can support yourself. And then here's the kicker. As you know, you're going to continue to put people in your adult life who reflect that same fear and insecurity that your caregivers had. And maybe it wasn't your mom and dad. Maybe it was your sister who was so damn jealous, who did nothing but put you down and try to keep you down because she was struggling to feel good about herself. Maybe you were bullied in school and you learned really quickly how to become the people pleaser so that you could get them off your back. How many times I sit with clients where this is the case and we trace it back to bullying. It's really unfortunate. Some of the greatest costs of not being who we are is we lose who we are and we can't love who we are anymore. We end up with anxiety, we end up with depression, all kinds of physical illnesses. We're difficult to be around. A lot of the time we're irritable, we're unsettled, we're distracted, we don't feel grounded. We are so caught up and absorbed in everything outside of ourselves, and we do that to fill the hole that we left empty by not owning who we are. We therefore can't trust ourselves. How in the hell can you trust yourself if you don't even know what you feel anymore? How can you trust yourself if you can't say no to what doesn't work for you or say yes to things that you really want? And then how can you respect and love yourself truly? This is a tough one. To really stand in that bathroom mirror today and get straight with you and to love you and to forgive you. My God, if you are here, first you have to have compassion. You didn't get here by accident. And yeah, you need to own and love yourself through the process, kicking and screaming to forgiveness, aka the grief process of how you got here and how you let yourself down and how you've settled for less than what you need. Being inauthentic means we're not really living. You can't. You're so busy putting on a face for everyone else and hiding who you truly are. Whereas living, we are in the moment, we're vulnerable, we're open, we're connected to life. So what does authenticity really mean? The first thing I wrote down was risk. It means taking a risk. And remember, you became inauthentic because it was too scary to risk being vulnerable, because bad things would have happened, and maybe bad things did happen to you. And I want you to have love and compassion for yourself around that. It's hard. Kids are fragile. It means risking emotional honesty, I think, first and foremost, especially when it comes to our important relationships in our life. It means expressing how you feel in a vulnerable way. It means not focusing on the other person. It's I statements, remember? I feel, I need, I just worry about. I'm afraid they'll laugh at me. I'm afraid you will laugh at me. Wow, that's even more vulnerable. It's right in the moment with that person. That's the hardest thing to do, is make that processed comment. It's risking saying, I love you, or I don't love you anymore. I need your help. I'm so ashamed that I... I don't know how to do this thing, and I'm pretty embarrassed about it, and I'm embarrassed to say so. I feel like I should know how to do this. It's about saying, no, I don't want to go tonight. I won't let you scream at me anymore. It's about asking for what you need. I need a raise, and actually I think I deserve it because... Authenticity is all about courage. Courage to say what you mean, to ask for what you need in the moment, to disagree, to do it your way, not in an obstinate, stubborn way, to have some false sense of control. I mean, to risk being creative. Maybe you have a good idea that people aren't comfortable with, but you think it's a good, healthy idea. It's the courage to stand up for yourself, for what you need and desire, and what you won't put up with. To stand up for what you believe in, too, what you're passionate about, for what you deserve, to not be bullied anymore. It's the courage to turn down money and comfort for your values and principles. You will not sell out, nor will you settle for less than what you deserve. Financially, psychologically, emotionally, maybe spiritually. Some people stay trapped in relationships because they hid their spirituality because their partner wasn't open to that, and they're suffering greatly. Authenticity is all about setting limits, about boundaries. With them by telling your truth, by defining where you end and others begin. It's also, I think, about setting limits with yourself. To tell the truth, to make yourself tell the truth. To make yourself walk in the room later and tell the truth, or days later, I don't care. But you say it and you mean it. You don't make the other person feel bad that you didn't say it the first time. Because this is about you. Authenticity is about you. It is no longer about anyone else. And when we first hear that statement, we might freak out a little bit and get a little angry. But they, Mary, but I know. I'm not minimizing what they've done and not done to hurt you. But the only place there is power is within you. We can't change they or them. Authenticity is about not letting yourself lie anymore to them about who you really are, and ultimately coming clean with yourself. We can't tell them the truth if we're still bullshitting ourselves, if we're still in denial or delusion sometimes, right? We don't want to see reality. Maybe we're afraid we can't handle it. And we're afraid they can't handle the real us. Authenticity means to stop saying, yeah, sure, that works for me. And instead say, I'm so sorry. I won't be able to do that right now. That doesn't work for me. It's about honoring your feelings right now, right here. If you're tired, honor that. If you feel creative, honor that. If you're pissed because someone just disrespected you, honor that. Oh, please, yes, honor that. Say no. Go call a friend. Walk away. Go somewhere safe. Be with yourself. Breathe. Authenticity means knowing what we deserve and loving ourselves first. We cannot expect other people to respect and love us until we get that straight with us. And here are some things you deserve. You deserve to just be you. The funny, smart, creative, passionate you. The one with talents we admire, because guess what? We may not have them. And you do. And you have your own signature way of doing things. And we love that. We need that. You deserve to embrace the beautiful scars you bear, because life has taught you some things that have made you stronger, more empowered, and yet more compassionate, with greater and deeper empathy for others who are hurting, for others who struggle, because you know why now. You deserve to be and feel respected for who you really are. Here's the thing. No genuine person will respect you when you're putting on the false self to please, to be popular, to make everyone else like you, to avoid conflict. How can they? They don't know who you are. Who the hell are they supposed to connect with? It is manipulative people, immature people, codependent people. Those are the people who are going to have an issue with you being authentic. And that's because they themselves haven't learned to do it yet. So you scare them. I want you to be very clear about those in your life, and I want you to notice, who is it easier to be yourself with? And why? I can bet you it's because they themselves are more genuine, and they embrace that, and they love that, and they can't stand fake and phony. Let's compare and contrast the damage of being inauthentic to the benefits of being genuine. Again, instead of the exhausting trying to keep a smile on when you're screaming on the inside, and all the anxiety and energy it takes to keep up the facade, you can finally let go and relax and just be you. You don't have to wait to come home at the end of the day and close the door to do that. Instead of disliking and disrespecting and doubting yourself, you can finally start trusting yourself again. You can trust your decisions. You can be happy with your decisions. Instead of feeling chaotic and inconsistent, procrastinating, avoiding, changing on a dime, you will become more consistent and congruent, and you will sleep at night. When we're not ourselves, we have so much anxiety, we do not sleep. We don't. Instead of all the anxiety in your relationships, where you're trying to remember what you told whom, you don't have to keep track anymore of all the ways you've accommodated, all the ways you pretty much lied, right? Or omitted the truth from the conversation, your truth at least. On a deeper level, instead of feeling set apart and on the margin in the room. You'll feel more connected and you'll feel more loved. And we gotta let him in to love us, so we need to be genuine and be vulnerable. Instead of having chaotic, combative relationships, others are going to start feeling emotionally safer and more relaxed around you. They're going to share more of themselves with you. They're going to be able to bring difficult things to you. They're not going to be as afraid to tell you the truth about them. Instead of all the shame and self-loathing, you will gain not only their respect and trust, but your own. All right, so those are some really good reasons to get started. So how do we get to it? First, you have to define, redefine, finesse, revamp what you feel, think, and need. Get clear. Just notice. I have clients do this all the time. I just want you to notice and write down your phone throughout the day what you're thinking at 12 o'clock, what you need at 3 and didn't tell anyone, what you feel. Don't write anything off. I don't care how crazy you think it might be. It doesn't matter. Eventually, it'll make more and more sense, and you'll be quicker and quicker in the moment to identify. Don't be freaked out if you can't figure it out right away. I hear that all the time. Like, just keep doing it. Just notice. There's no right or wrong here, guys. You're just going to create more self-awareness. You're just going to get back in touch with you. That's all you're doing. So don't stress out about it. Next, get square with your values, with your beliefs. What do you believe in? What are you passionate about? What do you care about? Why? Where's your why? And I want you to risk either putting them in a journal or speaking them or showing them in some way in your life. Do a little bit at a time. Put it out there. See what happens. Beta test it with healthier people, remember. Then I want you to honor what you feel this week. Even if you don't act on those feelings, I just want you to honor with the no wonder. Remember? No wonder I'm angry. Look what just happened. No wonder I'm wiped out. It's been a long day. Just validate, 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 validate yourself. You have to make it okay to be real before you're going to put your real out there. Then I want you to start thinking about making your life begin to reflect the real you, not the person you thought they needed. So that others eventually can clearly see what matters most to you, kind of who you are, what you're about, what you're not about, what your home look like, what kind of work are you doing, what kind of people are around you, what activities are you enjoying? And finally, work on healthy detachment. Remember, detachment with compassion and caring means letting go of what doesn't belong to us. I think it's the magic necessary to help you define who you are and let go of where everyone else is. And you have to do this all day long. And that's okay. Then you'll forget to do it and you'll get back in the mess. And you'll step out again and say, well, that's none of my business. That's what they're thinking and feeling. What am I thinking and feeling? Separate it out. Pull it apart. Pull it apart. I mentioned last week The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And he talks all about fear and perception and action. And he talks about taking action makes it real. It's where all the risk is, but nothing changes until we do. Because it ain't real until we act. We won't change until we act. Life won't get different in a good way until we act. We know this intellectually and our heart forgets. We got to find that opportunity to set the limit, to let our anger out, to take better care of ourselves, and to hell with the world's opinions, and take small steps. Ryan talks about take small steps because the more we do it, the more we build muscle memory. Then it becomes a habit. Just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Being authentic may not be easy, but I think it is going to be the most profound thing you work on in your life. I know this because I get to watch people do it every day, and it is the most beautiful thing to get to know the real person inside. Most people are really beautiful on the inside. They're creative, they're unique, they have a big heart, they have a purpose. I can learn from them. So today we talked about some of the costs of being inauthentic, of not allowing ourselves to be genuine, of the exhausting daily act of hiding who we really are. We then talked about some of the benefits of becoming more and more of our authentic selves, risking doing so we can finally breathe and let go, to relax, to just be real and not what we think others need us to be, to start making our life look like the way we always wanted it to look. There's so much you can change and do. There are things you can't, but there is so much that you can do. And first, it starts with looking in the mirror, loving you, forgiving you for not being real, and telling yourself, it's time. Life is so short. Let's do this. Thank you for joining me today. May you stay healthy, grounded, and become more and more in touch with who you really are. Focus on the good in there that you are finding. And I challenge you to not only find some good in others this week, but I want you to tell them, even if it's just in the form of appreciation. Be sure to check the show notes at www.ownitpowercast.com. Sign up for the newsletter each Tuesday. That's where you get the bonus downloads, and you can go back to other episodes and get those as well. All right, so pay it forward. Keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you could begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.